Hey, what's up, guys? It's Nate, TeamSallee.com. It kind of looks like I have a do-rag on right now, but don't be alarmed. It's just a red hat. It's okay. My last post was on Biggest Loser theology, so that was the first part. There's more to come, but I kind of needed to do something a little bit different for this next one. This week's been an interesting week. It's been a good week overall, but 2 days ago on Wednesday was the 4 year anniversary basically of my dad passing away to be with the Lord. He had esophageal cancer, and kind of the short story on that is, yeah, just months before he had done the stress test that the doctor said he was, aside from needing to lose a few pounds, which a lot of us could, the stress test and everything, he was like flying colors, sitting pretty good at early 50s. And come to find out later, yeah, he had cancer. It was stage 4. They gave him 6 to 9 months. He made it 10. He did the full 9, radiation, chemo, stuff called Juice Plus. Like, we tried all kinds of stuff. He fought to the end. We prayed like crazy. But yeah, that was kind of the end result. Was yeah, he's with the Lord right now, and I'll never forget driving to the hospital that last morning. It was kind of understood it was going to be the last day, and I was riding in my red Chevy truck, pulling into the parking lot, and I was listening to Air One or K-Love. I can't remember which Christian radio station, but somebody was on there, and they wanted to dedicate this song. And he said, "There's nobody in particular that I know right now that's grieving or hurting, but I feel like some people might be hurting this morning, so I want to dedicate this song to them today." And it was called "There Will Be a Day" by Jeremy Camp, which, if you haven't heard, I would go YouTube it because it's pretty awesome. Just kind of sharing the hope that there will be a day, no more crying, no more pain, no more tears. Basically talking about heaven. And man, I just had chills going in there that day. So I kind of felt like, I was already feeling like, man, this is going to be a big few hours. And yeah, I held his hand when he took his last breath, and it was a pretty intense time, intense moment, and I can't believe it's been that long. But I wanted to share with you guys, kind of the important part is really just where I've come in those 4 years, as far as my perspective on that. Maybe a little bit about how I've grown. The biggest thing I want to share is just how we view God and how do we reconcile terrible things and losses that happen versus our view of God, because it would have been really easy for me to just be really, really pissed at God and just questioning my faith. Why in the world, would that ever be able to happen? And I definitely asked those questions. I definitely asked, why him? Why now? Why not later? What's the deal? Why didn't this work? Why didn't you answer our prayer to heal him? And like, why didn't all these things are obviously going through your head. And then I pull back and I think about it, and part of it was he did kind of answer our prayer for healing. It just wasn't the type of healing that we wanted. I believe he's in a much better place. I know it's so cliche, and it's not the best thing to say at a funeral to people, but I mean, at the end of the day, he's doing a lot better than the pain he was suffering here. And then you got to ask, well, why did it happen in the first place? What's the deal with that? I've definitely thought about that. He never smoked, he never drank. I mean, he didn't do anything that's like causing, what you would think would cause cancer. Apparently there's some family history, and then, but his, it was just tough. But at the end of the day, I have to think that it is not the way God wanted it. His original plan in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve, it was basically paradise. There was no shame. But he did give us free will. He did give us decisions to make in this life. And there's consequences to those decisions, not only for ourselves, but it affects other people. And we've been living with the good and the bad of that since that happened. And disease has entered. There's all these things that has happened, and you have to pull back and think, well, God can definitely redeem things. Even stuff that happens and it sucks, He can, help coordinate kind of a silver lining. He can make good things come from that. It's really hard to see close to the situation, and so you don't want to try to jump to that too quickly before you grieve it. But there are some good things that can come. It's not the best. I don't believe it's how God wanted it, but He can still take something terrible and ugly and still somehow flip it and spin it to make it still be beneficial in some way. And it's something I've learned too is I didn't know where to go. Like that time in my life really drew me so much closer to Him than I had expected. And I think that happens for a lot of people. If something terrible happens, you have a big loss, there's a big, huge hit, big event in your life. I think it's really hard to have a middle ground. You either are driven away from God and you push Him away and you're mad at Him for a length of time and you're just bitter and hurt. So there's the one extreme, or it causes you to come closer to Him. Because I realized that I needed Him more than ever, and it was kind of like a wake-up call for me. So just maybe that has happened to you, or something bad probably will happen in the future. Unfortunately, just the world that we live in and the things that are going on. Just realize that when that hits, remember that's kind of like the crossroads, if you will. Are you going to drive Him away, or are you going to draw close to Him? And I'm really thankful that I knew where to go, and I really just sought after Him more. And I was read the Bible more than I ever had, and just really trying to figure out who He was in His heart, because I've learned that He does love us, and He does not want the pain and the suffering. That wasn't His original design. He didn't want it that way. He is awesome and can redeem things, but He did not want it the way it was. And so that's just some food for thought. I know I could go on for a lot longer, and I'll probably ramble if I do so. So I'll go ahead and just leave it at that. But I just wanted to share that was kind of a big thing I was going through this week. 4 years ago, but come a long way, and it really forced me to evaluate my perspective on who God is and what I believe Him to be, and if that was accurate or not. I will say one thing before I get out of here is this: it's all right to be mad at God. If you read Psalms, like the huge book in the middle of the Bible, David, sometimes he's like, "Oh, thanks God, you're awesome. You helped me do this and that." Sometimes he's asking for protection, different prayers. Sometimes he's singing songs. But there's some times where the dude is just mad, and he's like, "Why are you not here? Why are you not helping me? What the heck's going on?" You can read it. He's like ticked, and I think that's okay to be that, to be honest with Him, and to share that hurt, because He knows more than anybody what it is to lose a loved one. I mean, He lost His only son. I mean, if anybody, you can't tell God He doesn't know what we're going through. And that really hit me when I first learned that too. Is He knows more than anybody. He created us, and He's been through some serious pain. So I hope it's just more than anything, really an encouragement to you guys to really kind of really focus on maybe your view of God through pain. Another big thing that helped me with this is I'll link it below. Probably in the description if it's on YouTube or on the blog. I'll put it below. But it's a link to a sermon series by Breaux, and it's called "If God is Good," and he really kind of wrestles with some stuff a lot more in depth about it. If God is good, then what's up with evil? If God is good, what's up with hell? Different things like that. So if you want to go check that out, hope you all are having a good week. Have a great weekend. I'll see you on the flip side. See you.